Welcome in to Shaping Reality for July 2026. How is everyone doing? We made it through sort of another month since last month, and I'm joined by Penny Kelly. How are you, Penny?
I'm good. I'm very good.
Yeah.
So, although I am watching because we're in another tornado warning or tornado watch this time, it's like, wow, we're having some weather this year. So,
Yeah. How's
yeah.
the garden been for you this year?
I have all the garden that I have is very small. It's in the greenhouse. It's beautiful. I have tomatoes coming out my ears.
And you don't eat tomatoes, do you? Because
I
of the
don't.
oh
I
goodness.
don't, but they're beautiful and they're amazing. Oh my, the cabbage looks great. The carrots are coming. The beets are coming. The corn, the birds got a lot of the corn. So I've got 5 corn stalks. I need to plant some more. But in the greenhouse, you can lose some and replant really late in the season. The
Mhm.
lettuces are done. It's like 110 in the greenhouse. Lettuce doesn't like that.
Yeah.
The kale is pretty much done. So, yeah, cucumbers are coming, cantaloupe is coming, squash is coming. So,
There's
yeah.
nothing like homegrown cantaloupe. Oh,
Oh, my.
I know. I was raised on that. I had a grandma that, had a garden
Oh,
all my
my.
years.
Yeah. Oh, well.
Yeah. So, before we launch into the topic at hand, and for those watching, sometimes Penny and I will touch base before we come on, say, "What are you thinking about? What are you thinking about?" And I came up with a topic that I think will resonate to a lot of the viewers here. But Penny, I wanted to check in to see if there was anything you wanted to touch on before we launch on that.
Um, I think there's not a whole lot that I can say because of where my head has been at. This is my month off. I pretend it's a month off, but it's really my chance to write. And so I've been writing and working. I had I have in the Zoom stream that I did that talked about the pole shift, a lot of details about that, and people were they were so upset, and so was I that they were upset. But that triggered a meeting. A couple of us got together and said, let's talk about what we can do
Yeah.
that that would mitigate this whole thing so that at least some survive. Maybe nothing's going to happen, which would be wonderful. But if something bad happens, then we have to be prepared. So, better to be safe than sorry. So we met, and I'm turning over all this stuff about pole shift and being ready, etc. And I have all these pieces in my mental filing cabinet that have been there, some of them for 30 or 40 years. And there was one of those moments that triggered a whole bunch of those pieces coming together, and it was like, oh, OMG. Oh, and it was related to the pole shift. And so I wrote that all up. I'm going to put that in a video. But I think, the thing that I want people to get is it's not hopeless. We're not helpless. We're in a pretty good spot. And the thing that came to me was there's been a whole bunch of talk. I can't go into this because it's a whole other subject, but it's about moving to the new earth. And how do we do that? And when do we do that? And I was listening to something. I listen to all kinds of stuff. Most of it's crap because I'm just trying to see what's happening out there in the world. But this triggered a whole bunch of pieces coming together about how in the next 6 months, next 6 to 7 months, this, I'm going to call it a portal for lack of another term, although they call it a bridge. The bridge to that new earth is going to open, and we're going to be able to go there. And there were some cautions and some things to look for and things to think about and some things to be aware of. And when I realized, OMG, I've already been there. The it was one of the very first things that happened when Kundalini first happened, and I didn't sleep. I couldn't sleep for 3 years at all. So I would just leave the body and go sit on the roof. Remember me talking about sitting on the roof, and these 3 beings of light came and said, come with us. And I went because I didn't have anything else to do. And the experience of latching onto their hands, it's kind of like getting electrocuted and dropping about 14 bodies as we moved through the cosmos, and we were moving toward this little dot way off in the distance, and we got closer and closer, and I thought, wow, that looks like Earth. And then, we went right to it. We landed. It was a duplicate of Earth, and except for the fact that everything, every blade of grass, every pebble, every tree, every leaf, every brick in every building, every person was communicating, was aware. There was no blinkers or blinders on anybody's consciousness, on their sight, on their knowing. It was this place where people were communicating telepathically. So were the flowers and the grasses and the river, everything. And I ended up going there 3 times because they came and got me 3 times. But I always wondered, what was that for? What was that about? And what I think I have put together is, they took me across that bridge and took me to that Earth that we're headed toward. And I got to experience it firsthand, and I never had a real sure feeling of, what was that? Until all these pieces came together. It was like, oh my. So I'm going to put out a little video somewhere in this next week or so that, that says, here's all the pieces and here's how they fit together and here's what I've concluded. Let's watch and see what happens. So we may have something coming that for those who are ready, when that bridge appears, we can just go there.
Right. Let me try to unpack that a little bit.
Okay.
My understanding, and it's like trying to teach my cat a computer. It's like I realize I don't have all the pieces to be able to really grasp how the universe works.
Right.
My understanding is that the new Earth was a frequency, not a destination, not a physical destination.
That was kind of mine. That might not be the case.
So what you are wondering right now is if the new Earth is actually a physical location that we can physically, in some form of our body, whether it's the fleshy one or the energy one, we can go there and move there. Like I would drive to another state.
Yeah.
Well, that would be flippin' exciting.
I know. I know. I was, I could barely sleep for a couple of days. It was like, oh. And then there's this, and then there's that. And then, that's why I saw this. And that's why I experienced that. And it's like, OMG.
All right. So this makes me wonder, and you might remember, I don't know if we did it publicly last month or if it was the kind of the behind the scenes chat that we did. I mentioned that, if a pole shift is coming, that is pretty much going to have a big impact on the planet and the inhabitants of the planet. My question to you was, well, why are there so many off-planet beings spending so much energy trying to get us someplace that is a little bit more evolved than we are now?
Right.
And that would definitely make sense if they're trying to get at least a group of us into a place where they can shuffle us off and we don't lose all.
That's right.
All the culture and all the history. I'm getting goosebumps. I'm wondering if that's just.
We don't lose anything. We gain.
Wow. That would be magical. Wouldn't that be magical?
It really would. I think, one of the things I was thinking about a couple of days ago was, oh, maybe that's what that thing in the Bible said. I was going to look it up. I will look it up before I put out the video. But where they talk about the two men will be in the field and one will just not be there. And
Right.
the two women are doing something and one of them is no longer there. And one will be asleep, two people will be asleep in a bed, and one of them is no longer there. It's like, is that what that's about? You know, you have to have been working on your consciousness a little bit. And I think everybody in your audience, my audience, a lot of people that are saying, hey, wait a minute, something's not right here. And how do we expand consciousness? And where are we going? Where's the new earth? Oh, it's this. Oh, I'm disappointed. Oh, it's that. Oh, there's hope. Oh, it's not that. I'm disappointed, you know, back and forth. But it may actually be a duplicate of this earth. And that fits some of the science that Dr. Levengood and I talked about, which is in plasma. In the world of plasma, all forms exist in a duplicate state as counter-rotating forms. Now, we don't rotate, well, we do rotate a little bit, but that, it was like, okay, it's not impossible that there is a duplicate earth. So anyway, it sounds so pie in the sky. I really don't want to say too much until I actually sit down with my pieces and say, okay, here they are. And here's what I think. And here are the questions we should ask. And here's what we should be ready for.
Yeah.
So,
could you ask your people at some point?
What's that?
Would you feel comfortable asking your people at some point?
Oh, heck yeah. I would be very comfortable. So if they have this approach, which is very helpful once you've done all the work. Mm-hmm. If they see you have made a huge effort to put stuff together, then they'll say yes or no. They won't hand it to you. So, you know, you have to have said, this is what I think. And if they think there's more to be uncovered, more to be thought about, they'll say, well, they'll ask a question. Well, what about this? Or what about that? And it's like, oh. And you have to literally then answer those questions. And sometimes the answers are not quick. It takes weeks or months or years before an answer comes. And then when it does, it's like, oh, there it is. Okay. And I don't know if it's just my way, for my whole life been one of those kids who was curious. And when I saw something that I didn't understand, it would go in this mental filing cabinet and just dangle there. And I have hundreds of pieces of information in that filing cabinet. And about a half dozen pieces just came together last week. It's like, oh, okay. So every so often stuff all of a sudden, it's more like it reveals itself. You have to be open. So you have to still be asking the questions. So, yeah.
Yeah.
I'll ask. I'll see what they say.
Yeah, that's an exciting concept. And
yeah,
even so, it makes me think, okay, well, there's the idea. Why, even if it's, why couldn't we take that idea and bring it into form?
Why not? I think that's what it's about.
Yeah. So it's like, if that's the goal, that's an extraordinary goal.
Yeah. You know, when I went to that other earth that the three beings of light took me to, there was not a lot of people there. There were few, and there were some buildings, but it was pretty empty. Not a lot of people. And I thought, well, that must be just because we're somewhere out in the country, and it's not, you know. But when I was asked by my people to help build a new earth, I started building something, just, using my imagination. Well, I think we need this, and let's have that, and etc. And that whole thing, once it was fairly fleshed out, was like, well, there's not a lot of people here. So the problem is, uh, if you build it, will they come? Kind of thing. So we don't know. We have to be willing to be adventurers. We have to be willing to stick our neck out. We have to be willing to hold this space of, I don't know, but that to me strikes me as really good, and I'm going for it right now. No holds barred, that kind of thing.
Maybe the work here is finding the people.
You're giving me goosebumps. That's kind of like the reason I came here, to teach people about the mind and consciousness. and like, okay, for what? I think for this new earth. So we have, there's a piece that goes with this puzzle pieces I put together in this last couple of weeks. And you know how we've often heard, it's a prison planet. You can't get off this place, and you have to escape, and all this stuff. And what I realized was that it's not a prison planet at all. I've never thought it was, but it was like, okay, what is it? It's an incubator for consciousness. And every so often you get people like myself or others, yourself, lots of people on Beyond Mystic, etc., all saying, hey, think about this, work with that, develop your consciousness, explore your dreams, pay attention to your astrology, whatever else, your health. You have to be healthy. You can't hold a higher consciousness without being healthy. It's too hard. You don't have the energy. And so all of that happens. Why? None of that existed when I was a kid, back in the 50s. So why now? Is it because there's preparation going on for a bridge to form to a new earth? So, yeah.
I'll tell you, the energy I'm feeling right now in my body.
Yeah.
It's so exciting.
I have too. That's like, oh wow. Okay.
Oh, wow. That's like so exciting. That's like a whole new possibility.
Right.
So many possibilities to take all this creativity and innovation and incredible drive. Yeah. It's like, oh my, I've got goosebumps. So you were something.
Yeah. I have the same kind of, this is a possibility. Oh my. So
oh God. All right. Well, that's great. Now we're going to bring it down and talk about this planet.
Okay.
And you guys, what I sent to Penny, and I emailed her, and I said, I said, I would like to know about systems for other collectives, like people on other planets, or whether they're on a ship or whatever. It's like, what is a system that works? Because clearly the system that we're working in doesn't work, but for very, very few. And I was very disturbed, as I'm sure millions of people are around the planet, that it's almost unbridled greed at this point. And
almost. It is.
It is. You're right.
Oh my.
So when specifically, I'm looking at things like the whole flock camera issue, and the data center issue, and the absolutely wringing every last penny out of every working soul on this planet.
Right.
It struck me that this is a system that's literally eating itself out of greed. And it's like, enough never is. A company, I'll just use an example, like a digital company that they they offer a digital service, and they start out at $6.99, and 5 years later they're at $19.99, and they just keep wringing more money out of everybody.
Yep.
And it's like, it's gotten to the point that it's beyond ridiculous at this point. It's like nobody can keep up anymore. Wages, salaries are not keeping up with, the cost of everything. If we're paying more for everything, why aren't we getting paid? Because we work for the companies that are raising the price. I mean, it's just,
I know.
it's ridiculous. And so my question to Penny was, what about a system that works? We need a better system. But then I was thinking, since I sent that email, it's like, maybe we don't need a better system. We need better integrity.
Oh, yes.
And I've said to myself for years, we don't need more laws. We need more integrity. You cannot make enough laws to stop people who are not, living in integrity, who are not honest. You can't make enough laws. They'll figure out a way around it. So there's the dilemma, but maybe you already said it. It's like, this is a very hard reality system for those, unless you're very rich, and I don't think it's going to end well for them. So,
I don't either.
So the system doesn't work. People are being crushed.
I know.
So it makes me curious. Is it money? Is it the fact that our exchange is money? Is it integrity? Is it that we are so easily corruptible? What's the difference between this system and the systems you've seen that work?
Oh, wow. So, when you sent that question, I went back to my dimensions of reality. What is the third dimension? What's the fourth dimension? What's the fifth? What do they do? And I'm just going to kind of read through the difference between third, fourth, and fifth dimension involving money, just as a starting point. So first, money is in the third dimension. Money is used as a measure of value in a highly competitive system, highly competitive society. You have to have value, but if you're based on competition, then those two things don't mix. So that's third dimension. In the fourth dimension, money is replaced by intelligence as the greatest store of value. And when I say intelligence, I'm talking about genius. I'm talking about critical thinking. I'm talking about the ability to see, common sense, to draw conclusions that are life-giving, and to take action that's life-giving. That's fourth dimension. And then when you move up even further into fifth dimensional people, it's intelligence plus high-level consciousness replaces money altogether. They don't really have money. What they use is energy, the energy of consciousness. And when you can make anything happen with your consciousness, what do you need money for?
So when you say anything happen, do you mean also be able to manifest out of the void?
Right. You're hungry, you manifest something to eat. You need a place to sit down, you manifest a chair. That sort of thing. So you don't need money at all. It's only in this system. And we were, I think, not nearly as bad off as we are now. Remember me saying that there's an ongoing attempt to take over the planet, and that humans who have no integrity, who have no ethics, who have no honor, willing to hurt people, willing to kill at the drop of a hat. That kind of person is exactly what those beings who want to take over, that's who they will support, because they need to remove anybody who's good. So So let me go on here. So next, money is used as a means of security, survival, and a weapon of control in third dimensional systems.
Yeah.
And that's only if the third dimensional system gets corrupted. Okay? So security, survival, and a weapon. That's 3D. Fourth dimensional people, their big thing is wisdom, skills, and foresight are the means of survival, security, and self-discipline. There's a discipline that has to be developed, and that discipline has to come from leaders. And we don't have leaders, that the trickle down from the leaders we have is not very good. So, that's fourth dimension: wisdom, skills, and foresight. That's how you survive. In the fifth dimension, if money is needed for a transaction in the lower worlds, because a lot of fifth dimensional people visit 3D, 4D, 5D, 6D, they go back and forth. So if they need money, it's simply generated for that transaction. They just generate money.
Yeah.
Like if you want dinner, you generate a salad or a piece of corn or whatever. So that's 5D. You just generate what you need. And then development of financial 3D, back to 3D. The development of financial systems that extract wealth from everyone until the system collapses and has to start over. And that's, we're right at the edge of collapsing. But the start over is going to be something that cements control. So that concerns me. So we'll come back to that.
Yeah, let's come back. Let's bookmark that because I want to drill down on that.
Okay. So 4D, development of value systems. And I used that term. I had financial systems, development of financial systems that maintain minimum standards of living for all. But I want to talk about a video that I saw today when I was doing some research. It was like, oh, wow, about the Rothschilds. So then 50 is the development of reward systems. So 4D is development of financial value systems, and 5D is development of reward systems designed to support the full development of each human in order that they will contribute to the entire group and raise the standard of living, the health, the beauty, whatever they value, whatever is important to them. You raise the bar on all of that. And everybody works together in those systems. And then in 3D systems, we go through this continuous financial boom and bust cycle where it's every man for himself. Everybody's like, sorry there, sorry, dude, you're SOL. In 4D systems, people plan and execute trade that ensures that everybody is taken care of and has what they need. Everybody has what they need. We don't have the incredible poverty, and people are so content. So in 4D, just that little bit of a step up, 4D. In 5D, people design and carry out projects to which everyone contributes some of their consciousness, their energy of consciousness, and whatever the project is benefits them personally as well as everybody in the group. So it's a whole different way of operating. And then in 3D systems, we fight and go to war over gold, silver, rare earths, and commodities all the time. We're forever raiding one another, attacking one another. In 4D systems, gold, silver, and rare earths are produced from nature, the same way you produce food. It comes from Mother Nature, which it actually comes from the air. We have learned how to mine space. And in 5D systems, gold, silver, and other materials are freely available, but are used mostly in high tech. the highest value is placed on relationships.
Yeah.
You need people you need their consciousness to rescue you sometimes, okay? To help you if you need healing, to assist you if you need an energetic boost in making something happen. Two minds focused on an outcome, and it happens, or 3 or 5 or 10, whatever. So the big value is not money, it's your relationships. And being able to call on one another and say, hey, would you help me and it only takes a minute, but it works. So when you wrote, I thought, okay, let me go back and look and see what I've got in my 3D, 4D, 5D chart. And then I happened to see this video. I don't know how I saw it. It just came up. And it was the Rothschilds took over the Tartarian banking system, something like that. And so I watched it. I watched part of it this morning and then the rest of it this afternoon. It's like, OMG. If this video is correct, then we were on track. We were already becoming a fourth dimensional system. And that was destroyed. It was just destroyed, little bit at a time. So I think some of the destruction might even have been because the destruction happened over in the Gobi Desert area. Why is the Gobi Desert a desert?
Yeah.
You know, underneath the sand of that desert are buried some of the most phenomenal cities and things of that sort. What happened to them? So without, getting too far off track, what this video said was that the Rothschilds took over the banking system after very carefully disposing of a whole bunch of people, of their system in that whole Europe and Asian continent, which was Tartaria. Not so much Europe, but I think, was it you I was talking to recently? Somebody about being in the 6th grade and having this ratty looking history book with a brown cover that looked like it had gotten wet 6 times. The pages were all rumply, and we were studying history, and one of the things we were studying was Tartaria. And that was, I don't know where I went to this little tiny Catholic school. There were 42 kids in my graduating class. And that was our book. That was our history book. It looked like it had come from, I don't know, the 1850s or somewhere in there. It was old. It was thick. It had small print. It had no color pictures. It wasn't, certainly by today's standards of everything color and visual, it was absolutely boring. It looked like you were reading the Encyclopedia Britannica.
Yeah.
Thing. But they talked about Tartaria, and I didn't think anything of it. I just remember that day opening that book and seeing that area, almost all of Asia and half of Europe, Eastern Europe, it was all Tartaria. And then later, I don't know, probably 25, 30 years later, I happened to see this photo of Tartarian royalty who came to Europe. I don't know who they visited, but it was somebody. Could have been Norway or Sweden, could have been France or Germany, but the two royal families came together. They were dressed to the teeth. The Tartarians were really tall, and it was obvious they were royalty. And I was like, oh, there's some Tartarian people. I haven't heard of them. I haven't seen anything since I was in 6th grade. And then nothing. Boom. And now everybody is like, oh, that's just, conspiracy theories.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
No.
I don't think so. I'm old enough to remember some things that kids today I have never been exposed to.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So the as Tartaria was slowly destroyed, they had a banking system, according to this video, that was a value system. And the people who they didn't have bankers, they had keepers. I thought that was really an interesting name for the people who handled the money and the transactions. And their job was to keep everything in balance, to keep everybody well taken care of, to keep everybody out of poverty, to keep everybody satisfied so that they had everything they needed. We don't have that today. It's not even close. So the keepers had all these rules, and one of the rules was absolutely no interest. None. No interest. Because as soon as you institute interest, you begin to extract wealth. I think they said it. You extract wealth without creation. I thought that was a phenomenal statement. You have to create something in order to earn the money. But if you can extract money without having to create, where are you getting that money from? You're sucking it from everybody alive. So here we are. We have this system. They instituted this system. They had some other rules. The rules were the bank, the keepers could make a living by charging some fees on some of the transactions. And the bigger the transaction, the bigger the fee. But that was it. There was no interest. There was no compounding of interest. Nobody had any debt. There was no such thing in the keeper system as a debt or debt-based financial system, which first time I heard that, I was like, I must have heard that wrong. That's not a system that's going to produce a good outcome. How can you have money based on debt? People who would buy debt, but that's us. That's yeah. So the Rothschilds came along. I'm going to say something here that is purely intuitive. I have had this awareness for a long time about the people trying to take over. They're reptilian people. They're not on the surface of the planet. They're not above it. I think they're inside. They're in the earth. And they are the ones, they're very powerful in many ways. They are the ones who have, how would I say, they have hooked some humans into doing and being and acting the way they want to destroy everything so that they can eventually just have a few little small people that are left over to deal with.
Yeah.
So they've taken out all the 7 and 8 footers, the people who were much bigger. All of them have been destroyed. And that's just part of the takeover plan. So what's left is us, and they took out all kinds. I think they used some directed energy weapons on the people who were based in the Gobi Desert, and that's why it's a desert. Everything was destroyed, and nothing has regrown. There may be some radiation there. Although I will say, I think the last time we had a micronova, it hit Asia, that area, and the same thing happened in the Gobi Desert that created the Gobi Desert. When it hit in the Sahara in Africa, it created the Sahara Desert. Glazed a lot of stuff in Egypt, glazed a lot of sand, turned it into glass. The same thing in the Gobi. So I'm not sure that there was an actual weapon, but where did all those cities go? How was it that they were vaporized or disappeared? And all those people, it was a fully populated area. So anyways, when they had reached a certain point that they had gotten rid of enough people and enough keepers, and had gotten enough control. The Rothschilds stepped up, and I think they were aided by those reptilians. Go here, look at this, here's that, take over. And so they just seized everything, including all of the gold. So this video that I was watching, if it's true, said they just took over the vaults. They built their banks on top of the existing vaults. And all those vaults have underground tunnels connecting all of the banks and vaults. They borrowed, evidently, in the Tartarian system, the red shield, which is where the Rothschilds got their name, that was the sign. It was like a visual sign that this was a banking center. And the Rothschilds took that as their name, borrowed that whole concept, and said, yeah, hang on. Yeah, we learned how to do this, how to bank, how to charge, all that. They took on that red shield as their name. Rothschild means red shield. They took on the same emblem, kind of a logo that the Tartarian bankers had, Tartarian keepers had. It was 5 arrows. That's an ancient symbol of power, incredible power from the gods. You see that around the Vatican. And they said, oh no, this is ours. This is a symbol of our 5 sons and our 5 initial banks where we started. And then they took the same rule, they borrowed the same rule that the keepers had. In Tartaria, bloodlines were really carefully monitored, and because it was understood that consciousness was carried in the blood. And that is not the first time I had heard that. I actually was told that by some of the people that were teaching me right after Kundalini, some of the beings in the crystal school. They said it's all in the blood. So, so the rule for the keepers, they very carefully bred their families because they had this very powerful ethical stance and consciousness that said we are responsible for making sure no king ever goes broke, no population ever goes hungry, that there's no wars. You know, they were keeping peace. They were keeping a beautiful system going. And so the Rothschilds borrowed that and said, we will only marry within and have children within our family. And they have done that. They're now so inbred. You know, I don't know that they've got any, you know, let me not say anymore, just that they're very inbred, okay? And so all of the Rothschild banking system, which, you know, for a while in the beginning, I thought, oh, they're really industrious. They're really powerful. They're really lucky. They're really smart. Look at what they've accomplished. I don't think they accomplished anything. They just seized the old Tartarian system and then started corrupting it. And the whole thing is designed to extract wealth until everybody is controlled by them. And that's where we're headed. That's where we are headed with the digital system. So, I think, I don't know what the answer is for us in terms of being able to fix that system, address it, confront it. Something I don't know what that is. But I do know from my travels around other beings, other systems, that money is not the focus of your whole life. Money is not how you survive. It's actually working together and cooperation that brings the best results. And we have a lot of people here that don't know how to do that. They don't know how to cooperate. They just know competition, and they don't trust. So how are you going to have cooperation if you don't trust?
Well,
So,
and why should they trust?
well, yeah, if you have a corrupt system,
Yeah.
it doesn't look good. So, I haven't had enough time. I've been thinking about this for the last 24 hours and thinking, okay, how do we fix this? What do we do? What do we say? What do we, maybe it's what we not do, maybe I'm not sure. I think we have to think about it though. We have to face it. We have a completely corrupt system that is not good for anybody, including the people who are running it. They
Right.
might think that this is what has to be.
I don't
And
think they're thinking, Penny. I almost look at it like, and I call them the big swinging dicks. So sorry about that, you guys. But it's almost as though they don't even see the population. It's just a competition between
yeah,
all the players, the billionaires, and it's all about who's got the most toys.
that's right.
So the most money. I think it is so far down the road of single focus greed that there's no common sense anymore. There's no
No,
thinking anymore.
I, yeah, that's where we're at.
That's where we're at.
That is where we're at. And there's no, I mean, we can lie to ourselves, we could pretend, but I don't think that's of value. We're going to have to not engage in that system,
Yeah.
but
And,
we
and
don't have anything set up as an alternate.
I think it's going to be, people, I see it in the collective. And once you watch Cliff with JC,
I will watch that. Yes.
yeah. And if you guys didn't see it, JC on Beyond Mystic did an interview with Cliff last night, and it's a pretty good one. I mean, it's very, very engaging.
Okay.
And it talks about how the pendulum swings back and forth and where we're at, in momentum. And he
Right.
was clear that, that system, that control system is breaking down. But we as a collective are not organized enough to be able to manage the solution. But I think we'll get there. And I hate to say this because it sounds like such an old lady saying, but it's
Say it
gonna,
anyway.
I think it's going to be the kids. I think it's going to be the 20 and 30-year-olds
Oh, yeah.
that, that are going to step in and decide this is enough. And
I
okay,
hope so.
so I have a couple of questions about, what you say. The first one is, I am confused as to why the reptilians have worked so hard to take over this planet, because it's been how many, a million years or something they've been at it, or however long, 500,000 years.
I don't know. I know that this effort that they're making now has been ongoing for about 4,000 to 5,000 years.
Yeah, and my question is, why the hell don't they just create a planet of their own? It's like, what? I mean, they can create.
They can. Yes.
It's like, why go into this big battle with us unless it's all set up as just kind of this game for us to expand our consciousness beyond that?
Yeah.
You
I've considered that. What if this is all just a game and that's a test?
Yeah, and it's just it's us. It's like an obstacle course for us.
Yeah.
So that's the first thing, and then the second thing is, like you said, the Rothschilds were influenced by the reptilians, and I'm wondering, aren't the Rothschilds the reptilians?
They may be.
And they just present in human form when they're out in public.
I think there may have been some hybridization, but not a whole lot. The reptilians typically don't want to dirty their bloodline with us, with our stuff, but they want to use human ingenuity and energy and vulnerability to the max, and they're doing it. And they want this part of the galaxy. Now this is just something that comes from some of my people. There are like 24 planets in this area that those reptilians control. And Earth is like in the middle of all of that, and they cannot get control of the Earth. Every time they try, it blows up.
Sorry, motorcycle.
Oh, okay. Um, so they give up, and then they come back later and try again. The thing that is the problem for them right now is everybody's waking up.
Yeah.
Everybody's seeing the game. Everybody's understanding the manipulation and saying, now, wait a minute. Who said? Who gave permission for this? Who's making the rules? We have given our power away left and right, and we have to take that back. We don't have to be obnoxious. We don't have to be mean. We don't have to be greedy like them. We just have to say, no, thank you.
Yeah.
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 Not doing that, not going there, not cooperating with that. They have been very willing to hurt people.
Well,
It's
meaningless to them.
That's true. Yeah.
And probably a little bit thrilling as well,
Maybe so. Some people get their jollies that way. But I started to say, one of the things, hang on, I've got a cat that is insisting. She wants, I don't know, she wants something. Her name is Abracadabra, and she is black, my black one. I call her my black girl. And she's just the one everybody loves. And so, Mary Jo, if you're around, come and call Abby. Come and get Abby. So anyway, the problems that we have here on the planet, I'm going to say problems of raising children, problems, setting up a system, problems with, with money, with greed, with cooperation, with company, all of the problems that we have exist all the way across the universe. Every place has those same kinds of things. Oh, thank you, Mary Jo.
Yeah, I saw the door in the back. I think she got Abby.
I know. Abby keeps reaching up and grabbing my leg with her claws. It's like, oh, get down, Gabby, get down. So anyway, the thing, you ask the question, why do they want this planet? They're greedy. They want control of this area. It's the same kind of crap that we have here. Why? Because they're here and they bring their values, their ethics, their behaviors, their attitudes, and their goals, and they implant those in people. And, and they do that in a really sneaky way. We've talked about it before. They ruin some village and hurt, they cause some children to be maladapted. Hang on. And then those maladapted children become easy to manipulate, slightly on the psychopathic side, or have at least personality disorders, or sociopathic, or they're just disabled, learning disabled in a way that learning disability is when you cannot produce the chemicals that allow you to perceive or hear or feel. You have to have chemicals that allow your feeling state, okay? So, and that's emotional disability, is not being able to empathize at all. And then learning disability is not being able to organize your brain to move in certain patterns that everybody else's brain uses. So, so they disrupt children. And then once they get a good group of disrupted, disabled people that don't care and that are willing to do anything to get that moment of security or that feeling of I'm in power, I'm in control, they're on their way. They're on their way. And that's, that's where we're at. they almost have us. They got one or two short hairs, but they got a hold of them, and they're pulling. And if they get a handful, then we're done.
I think, it's like I can see how they almost got it, Penny. I see a pushback so big right
Yes,
now.
yes,
And it's like little bitty pockets here and there and here and there, but the message is consistent. It's like enough. We've had it. Too
yeah,
far. Too
right.
far. And again, I think it's the young kids. And one thing I've noticed, and put it over in the chat or in the comments, you guys, if you've noticed the same thing. There are a lot of younger people, 20s and 30s, that aren't playing the game. They don't want a job. They don't want a career. They're just not playing the game.
Yeah,
And they've been labeled as lazy. I don't think that's it. I
I
think they see what's going on for what it is, and they're not going to waste their time. It's like they can't do it. They can't.
yeah,
I think
you know,
that's going to bubble up in them, and they're going to be the ones that just say
right.
that that's enough.
One of the people that I talk with is a professor down in Arkansas, and he teaches uh, electrical engineering and all that kind of stuff. And he said most of his students are 18 to 25 or thereabouts, and they're asking, why are we learning this? What is the point? And when I heard that, my heart broke a little bit. It's like, yeah, we have a whole new kind of technology, a whole new kind of math coming, a whole new kind of science. It's showing up little by little, and what they're learning is useful. They'll be able to work in both worlds. But we have a new world coming where most of what they're learning is going to be not what they need. I have to say it plain as day. It's just not going to be helpful. So they're getting an education in the old world systems.
Yeah.
We're moving into new world systems. I still hear people talking about gravity, and I think, oh, you're a scientist. Are you not paying attention to the science that underpins our whole new earth world? It's not, gravity it's a workable term, but if you ask a scientist what is it, they'll all say, I don't know, nobody knows. But we do know. We know that it's the end of a magnetic pole that draws things to it, and the other end pushes things away. So you have, attraction and repulsion. Gravity is attraction, is the attractive end. And so it's like, okay, you can't really talk about gravity without talking about the repulsion. You can't really talk about electricity without talking about the fields. When you have fields, you have filaments. When you have filaments, you have structures that collect particles. Particles then recognize one another as neighbors and say, let's work together. They're intelligent. And so those particles then form, chemists call it lattice structures. They form lattice structures. And you get those structures working together, and you get stuff like human beings, cats, plants, dogs, animals, cars, trucks, all sorts of things. Everything is made of the same thing. It's that energy of plasma, magnetism, and the fact that certain particles organize themselves in relation to fields that are magnetic. So, all that other stuff that they talk about, it's interesting to some extent, but it's so outdated now that if the people that are learning science don't keep going and move into that new science, they're going to be bitter. I'm afraid they'll be bitter that they didn't learn something that they needed.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So
yeah.
let's take a look at, so we're in this, it would appear that we're in the crumbling of a extraction system.
Yes.
We're in the end stages of an extraction system. And
Yeah.
we're this huge collective of people, which I think in some ways has served us, in some ways hasn't, because it's a dilution of responsibility. Because there's so many people, no one thinks it's their responsibility or that they have an impact. And so we're looking at the system is crumbling. I don't know if I was a billionaire trying running an extraction game on the population, I'd be really worried about my position.
I know.
Because
I think they are.
Yeah, they can't go out in public without security. They can't go have dinner in a restaurant. They can, it's like their world is going to become really uncomfortable if it isn't already. Yeah, shrinking. So it's like, and then it's left to us to either take all that bad behavior and work it out on each other,
Right.
or elevate and see what's going on. I know that, and I know that you've thought about this because I think about it all the time. Like, what is the Achilles heel of this system? What is the quickest way out of this? And you had mentioned one time that it was everybody stop paying your credit card, stop paying your mortgages, stop paying your car. Just stop. Just stop and sit down. Go have a barbecue with your neighbors.
Right.
And we've talked about that several times. It's like, just stop.
Right.
I actually, for the first time since we've been talking over the years, see that as a real potential.
It is. Yeah.
That people are finally, they're just about there.
Yeah.
Based on what you see, do you see what is the quickest way out of this that you see right now?
That would be the quickest way. But what I have seen is that it's what happens is that the oligarchs, we'll call them that, the elites, take each other out. They get to this point where the greed, there's nothing more they can get from us. We have been sucked dry. And they turn to one another, and now they're competing. They're trying to destroy one another's businesses. And that's the Achilles heel. It's their greed and the fact that they're never satisfied, and they go after one another, and they don't realize that it's going to how do you call it? It's going to be like when you're playing pool and you hit a ball and you knock something in the pocket. That's what happens, is this little attempt to cause problems for this guy and his what would you call that? His international business, which is huge and powerful. You just want to cause a little bit of trouble. If you do that and it ends up blowing up out of proportion, then that causes trouble for a lot of other people. And we have some of that's going on. I see little signs of that. The other Achilles heel is people who started working together. And when I say started working together, I'm talking Trump, Putin, Xi, Modi, and maybe somebody else. They started working together. They wanted control of their countries because the Rothschilds had control of every country. And they just murdered anybody who didn't cooperate with them, and et cetera, et cetera. So what seems to be a real Achilles heel is that the guys who started working together get to the point where their people are so distressed that they can't work together anymore without doing something that goes against what the other 3 or 4 are doing, Russia or China or whatever. And so they end up actually fighting. And 1 or 2 of them go too far, it might be Trump who goes too far. And it might be Russia. I just went through, there was a young guy here who came to visit the farm last week, and we were talking about John Titor and the Titor, Titor, the stories that were all over the internet.
Didn't he go into the future?
Yeah, he was from the future. They
Okay.
had learned how to time travel, which is not that difficult. We already have that. But he came back to get a 5100 IBM computer. IBM 5100 was an old computer that was able to do some things that they had lost the programming for. They couldn't figure it out. So he came back to get that computer, and he took it, and he disappeared. And so there's, that whole teeter thing that's been fresh on my mind. And one of the things I know about timelines is that a lot of times you'll get this timeline's going in this direction. And I think they had a war on, let's say, on John Titor's timeline. And we're a little bit behind. We have a chance to go in a different direction, but we're not really going there fast enough. And so we are likely to split off and experience the same kinds of things, just different people playing the role of, causing the difficulty, different timing for that whole thing. But that we're in a really delicate place right now. We so need to just firm up that we're going to a new earth, and we're going to expand our consciousness. So we're going to learn cooperation, and we're going to avoid as much of the external crap as we can. And that's not a guarantee. That's just, it's not. It's that old saying, the rain falls equally on the just and the unjust. If Putin or Xi or somebody else gets a hold of a bomb, I think Germany now has a bomb, a big bomb. Russia has some extraordinary bombs. Oh my. And they're not nuclear, but they are destructive, huge destruction. And so if they decide that we're just causing too much trouble and somebody needs to stop us, that's a problem. That's a big problem. That would happen on our timeline, and that would, cause a lot of trouble. And so those are the Achilles heels that I see as we're moving forward. And every so often somebody opens Pandora's box, and I think, oh no, there's 10 more possibilities for things to go wrong. And people don't understand. One of them is the fact that consciousness is something, the consciousness of the people is reflected in the behavior of the planet. And so when we need to shake up our thinking and get out of this rut of fear and anger, and we need to stop being angry and not doing anything about it, and that the earth picks that up, and we have earthquakes, we have terrible storms, we have all kinds of stuff that happens, and that is partly our fault, because it's our consciousness that is just constantly pounding on the earth. Consciousness is plasma frequency emissions. What holds the plates together? It's plasma frequencies. And when you go messing with that, you cause big earthquakes, messes things up big time. So we have a wonderful chance. Some people that are working to make the world a better place, I just want to say, don't quit. Don't quit, even if you don't see a single sign that that's happening, that it's getting to be a better place or going to be a better place. It's coming.
But Penny, the thing I want to say about that is once you get to a place of integrity is just who you are.
Right.
That's just who you are. There's no struggle, there's no challenge, there's no nothing. It's just that's just who you are.
Yep.
Then it's not a battle anymore. It's just who you are, and you don't stop
Right.
because that's just who you are. You have become that.
You have. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And things smooth out. And one of the things that goes with that integrity is integrity of vision and perception.
Yeah, and
You're
choice.
not lying to yourself about what you're seeing.
Yeah, and choice.
Yeah.
I say several times a day now, I do not consent to any of the shenanigans
Yep.
of the dark forces, the deep state,
Yep.
whatever it is. I do not consent. I'm moving on, folks.
Right.
And I'll say that over and over again because I heard this thing that I thought was so good. And I wish it would have been a really big slogan during the whole COVID days. Your compliance is your consent.
That's true. Yeah.
You keep playing the game to get along.
Yeah.
Your compliance is your consent. And getting our consent. And there are times when I see moves by, we'll call them the deep state or the naughty boys, which is one of your great terms. And, is sometimes it makes me laugh at how very good they were at setting up this whole fake system.
Yeah.
I'm listening to a book right now, and I don't remember the title, you guys, so I apologize for that. But it's about the whole music genre in the 60s and the 70s.
Oh.
And what I'm finding out is all the songs I love,
Yes.
The Doors and the
Yep.
Crosby, Stills and Nash, and Frank Zappa was CIA, and that
Pink
whole
Floyd.
thing, that whole thing was manufactured. And at first I was like crushed. This there goes my youth, the songs of my youth. And then I thought it was so hysterical because they did a good job of that, and the whole burning your bras thing and the tune in and turn out or turn on, tune in, whatever. That was all CIA programming.
That's right. I
And
was just talking about that today. That whole women's lib thing.
Yes.
When I found out that was coming out of some institute in England, the CIA and MI6 or MI5 or whatever it is, it was like, oh, we thought we were really becoming
so
advanced
rebels.
people.
We were real rebels.
Yeah, and we were manipulated hook, line, and sinker to break up the family.
Yeah, and to make a two household tax stream.
Yep, exactly.
Now we've got both people working and we're still broke.
I know, because it's oh my.
And was it Gloria Steinem? Or who was the gal that went into the Playboy Mansion and pretended that she was a bunny and she wrote a book and everything? She was CIA too, the whole thing.
Oh, wow. Well, I hadn't heard that. Okay, I don't know if it was Gloria. I read The Feminine Mystique by, I forget what the author's name was. And it just spoke to me. Why did that book get published when so many others are turned down?
And I read and then I saw this one thing I thought was interesting, that Hollywood is just all dark, so dark and so controlled. And someone brought up the point in this video I was watching about every time a celebrity, a big celebrity got caught in some kind of very uncomfortable scandal, like I think it was Eddie Murphy with the transvestite hookers. That was set up to slap them down because they weren't following orders.
Okay. Yeah, that's how they work. Entrapment, honeypots, making things look all apple pie and Americana, and it's not.
It's not. It's all a game.
Yeah.
Which I think is hysterical. I mean, once you get over the initial heartache.
I know. I know it's a shocker, but I think if we recognize we don't know anything about what's true. We don't know anything that's true. We don't know what has happened. We don't know our history. We don't have any idea how the banking system works. It's too complex. Nobody knows.
Intentionally, and the legal system.
Yeah, there's another one.
Intentionally complex so they can continue to, because no one will go there. An average citizen can no longer really go to court. You can't afford it.
No, you can't.
Yep,
that's exactly right.
Yeah.
So you lose power, you lose money. What happens then? You lose hope. People give up. It's like, oh my, okay.
I'm giving up. So no. We're getting close to the end here, and I always want to leave people with something they can do, productive, meaningful. So, what are you thinking?
I thought about this before we came on, and I wasn't sure what I would say. I thought she's going to ask me again. What do I want to leave people with? I think I'm going to say I want to leave you with yourself. I want people to understand how good they are intrinsically, how amazing they are, and that there's no need to be apologizing or excusing or worrying, that you're not doing this right, or you haven't done that right, or you're not good enough, or you're not smart enough, or you're not beautiful enough, or you're whatever. All of that, just take yourself in hand and understand that you are a gem. It doesn't matter whether you've been polished yet or not. You are a gem. Just take that with you as we move into the future, and pay attention to your consciousness. So
where's your focus?
Right.
Where's your focus? What are you focusing on? I love that new earth thing. That's going to become my new happy place.
Yeah.
When I just want to sit down for a little while and
right.
kind of, daydream about something lovely. Because I love this planet.
Yeah.
It's so interesting. I mean, compare this to Mars or the moon. Come on. There's no comparison.
And a lot of other planets, same thing. Barren, ugly. It's like we have got I don't know. I haven't on Earth.
Yeah. Can you imagine this? Pristine, clean, well cared for, well loved.
Yeah.
People very engaged in, the cycles of nature.
Yes.
Oh, that'd be heaven. I would never want to leave. I'd want to live a long life on that one.
I have to agree.
Yeah.
It's one of those places. I've been to a number of places, but this place is one that feels like home. It feels like something special is happening here. And even though a lot of people are unhappy and a lot of people are unhealthy and a lot of people are depressed or whatever, it's like, shh, cheer up, chin up. It's okay. It's going to be okay. So hold that. And even if your life comes to an end, let's say something awful happens, if you're holding that consciousness when you leave here, that makes all the difference in the world about where you end up going.
Mm-hmm.
It's about consciousness.
Yeah. You don't lose your consciousness when you lose your body.
That's right. Right. Yeah.
Well, thank you, Penny. I know you're in the middle of a whole lot of stuff right now, so thank you for taking the time to do this.
Oh, my pleasure. Yeah. Sometimes, when I've been writing so much, and I've had 5 million interruptions, and I just try to take the interruptions in stride. And then I go back to the writing, and then it's like, I need an outlet. I need someplace to let off steam. My teapot is full, kind of thing. So I really enjoy, talking with you. It's one of the pleasures of life.
Well, thank you. I feel the same way. It's a treat. Yeah. Well, good luck with all your projects around there.
Okay. Yeah. All right. coming
We'll see
together.
you all next month, everyone. Have a great one. We'll see you
Yeah.
soon.
All right. Okay. We'll see you guys. Take care.
Mhm.
All right. Okay.